Hi folks, and welcome back to Meaningful Money. What a fantastic day. It's 25 degrees, not bad, eh? And the spectacular scenery of Rinsey Cove behind me. Now, in the last couple of videos actually, I've been talking about life assurance, two different types. And it's important that we just take a little aside to talk about trusts. Trusts and life assurance are inseparable, so it's important we deal with them now, but we will deal with them in much more detail later on. What is a trust? Well, a trust is a separate legal entity. So just as you as a person are a legal entity, you've got a right to vote and a right to buy and sell things and a right to die and all that sort of stuff, a trust has rules of its own, particularly pertaining to tax and the administration of it. For the purposes of our discussion today though, think of a trust as a box into which you put stuff, and given that we're talking about life assurance, that's a logical thing to put inside. So a trust then is a box into which you can put life assurance policies or investments or whatever, but we'll come back to that. Now there's three important sets of people when it comes to a trust. The first one is the settler, and that is the person who sets up the trust and puts the life assurance policy into it. So if it's my trust and I want to put a life assurance policy in trust, then I am the settler. The second important class of people we're talking about here is trustees. Now these are the people who look after the box and make sure that what the settler wants to happen does happen. So they are the managers, if you like, of the box, and they are the ones who have to make sure that the trust is run effectively and in accordance with the various rules. The third important set of people are the beneficiaries. These are the people who one day will open the box and take out whatever's inside. So why would you set up a trust? Well, when we're talking about life assurance, there's a couple of reasons really. When you die, your estate, or the value of everything you own, less the value of everything you owe, is all added up, and a number is produced, which is the value of your estate. Now you may have to pay some tax on that, and there is a process which you go through, assuming you have a will, which you certainly must, and eventually that process culminates in being given a grant of probate, and that allows your executors, the people who are sorting out your stuff after you're dead, it allows them to get on with it. Now that process can take a few weeks, it can take a couple of years in some circumstances, depending on how complex your estate is. One of the benefits of using a trust is the speed of payout, because remember, a trust is a separate legal entity. So if my life assurance policy that I want to pay out to my wife and kids if I die, if that's just part of my estate, then it could take ages to get it sorted out when their need is very immediate. So by putting a life policy in trust, it can pay out usually in the space of 2 or 3 weeks and get the money to my beneficiaries when they need it, quickly. Tax is another reason you would set up a trust. I mentioned this in the last video, I think. If you have a life assurance policy and all that money, let's say it's £500,000, is just part of my estate, well, I'm going to pay tax probably on 40% of it, so there's no point really paying the life assurance policy only for the government to get a chunk of it in tax. So by putting that policy in a trust, that removes that. The trust has its own set of tax rules. So those are the two main reasons, particularly with life assurance, that you would do that. But really, also, just as you make a will in order to make sure what happens to your estate after you die, it makes sure that what you want to happen actually does happen. You do a will to do that. Trusts can also be used for that. They make sure that your wishes are carried out, as long as the trustees do their job properly. So those are the main reasons, particularly, that you would do a trust when it comes to life assurance. Speed of payout, and to save inheritance tax possibly. Now, trusts are a complex area. It's a specialism in financial planning. There are many different kinds of trusts, and we will in due course cover them all off, and the different scenarios in which you would use each one. But for the purposes of this, where we are right now in our discussions with foundations of financial planning, life assurance, you're talking what we're going to just assume is that a trust is a useful box, a place you can have the money paid out quickly to those who you want it to be paid out to, and is a tax-saving thing. If ever you do life assurance, you ought to, in the vast majority of cases, consider using a trust. If you have a financial advisor who doesn't even talk about trusts, you need to sack him or her and get a decent one. Okay, that's enough for trusts for now. Leave any comments or questions and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks very much.